Local production of today's edition of News 6 is made possible in part by a grant from the Toledo Edison Educational Services Program.
Hello and welcome to another edition of News 6. This week, News 6 is brought to you by the 6th graders in Defiance Middle School in Defiance, Ohio. Our first story is about a very important citizen in Defiance. With that story, here's Dennis Leasty. Dennis?
Thanks, Sherry. Tom Wiseman is the youngest mayor that Defiance has ever had. He decided to run for mayor because he thought he could do something to help the community. News 6 reporter Wendy Coles talked with Mayor Wiseman about his position.
Mr. Wiseman, why did you decide to run for mayor?
I have always been involved in jobs, in helping people. The jobs that I've had before, I worked as a funeral director and an embalmer at a local funeral home, and there we were always helping families. After that, I worked as the Veterans Administrator for the County of Defiance for about 8 years. And of course, as a Veterans Administrator, we were always helping veterans and their families.
What is your most important duty as mayor?
I think the most important duty that I have as mayor is to ensure the safety and the welfare of the 18,000 citizens of Defiance. We have to make sure that our police department and our fire department are ready to respond in case of an emergency. We have to make sure that our roads are safe. We have to make sure that when you turn on the tap at your house to get a drink of water, that you're drinking safe water.
What did you have to do to become mayor?
You have to run for the office and have the people vote you in. And the way you do that is you have to file with the Board of Elections. Each county in the state of Ohio, there's 88 counties, and each county has a Board of Elections. And you go to that board and tell them that you would like to run for mayor. And they give you a piece of paper, and you take that piece of paper to 50 people that are the same political party as you are. If you are a Democrat or a Republican or an independent, you take that piece of paper to 50 people that are the same party as you are, the same political affiliation, and you have them sign it. And then after they sign that, you turn it back into the Board of Elections, and then you do what we call campaign.
Thank you for talking with us, Mr. Wiseman. This is Wendy Coes reporting for News 6.
Thanks, Wendy. Tammy McDaniel has been baton twirling for almost 2.5 years. She recently performed for News 6 and talked with News 6 reporter Stacy Webb about her different routines.
Tammy, how long have you been interested in baton twirling?
I've been in baton for about 2.5 years, and when I go to the World Twirling Association.
Could you tell us about the World Twirling Association?
In the World Twirling Association, both boys and girls compete in their own age groups, and you wear a uniform, and if you do good, you get a trophy or medal, and I have 4 trophies and 7 medals.
What kind of routines do you do?
I do a solo in which you twirl by yourself, and you do tricks that are very difficult. And I do a fancy strut in which you go down and back up the gymnasium or whatever you're competing on, and you do tricks that are a little bit easier than a solo. And then in modeling, you wear just a special outfit, and you don't use your baton, and you do poses.
How do you learn your routines?
Once a week I go to my instructor, but then during the rest of the week I just work on my own.
Thank you for talking to us, Tammy. This is Stacy Webb reporting for News 6. Thanks, Stacy. The history of Defiance dates back to the late 1700s. News 6 recently talked with Louis Simonis, an authority on the history of the Defiance area. Together with Mr. Simonis, we visited Pontiac Park, where Chief Pontiac was born in 1712. Nearby his birthplace, a historical marker notes where an Iroquois Indian princess lived. She raised 2 white captive boys, Oliver Spencer and Johnny Brickle. 2 elementary schools in the area are named after them. Also in the park is the famous giant French Indian apple tree. It is the largest known on record. It measured 27 feet high in diameter and 45 feet high. The Crossomami River from Pontiac Park is the site of Fort Defiance, built in 1794 by General Mad Anthony Wayne during his campaign against the Indians. As he looked at the newly built fort, General Wayne remarked, "I defy the English, the Indians, and all the devils in hell to take it." A friend, General Scott, who was standing beside him, said, "Then call it Fort Defiance."
Thanks, Amy. Mr. Mike Ziffel is a 5th grade teacher in our school. He started collecting guns when he was 10 years old and today has over 50 guns. His oldest gun is a 150-year-old Winchester rifle. Mr. Ziffel has been teaching gun safety during the 5th graders' outdoor experience at Camp Palmer for the last 8 years. Recently, he showed us some of his guns to News 6, and he told us how he feels about gun safety.
Morning. My name is Mike Zipfel, and I'm a teacher at the Defiance Middle School, but my hobby is collecting guns. Maybe 2 might not seem like they go together, but that's the way it is. Over the years, I just picked up all of the weapons and the firearms that I could. This came from my grandfather. It's a lever-action .22 Marlin, and it's worth quite a bit of money. I kept this for sentimental reasons. This is a Mini 14, and it's a combination sport rifle and assault rifle. An assault rifle is something that they would use in combat. This is a Smith & Wesson, and if you've ever seen Dirty Harry, this is what Dirty Harry has. It's an 8 3/8 inch Smith, and it's a .44 Magnum also, but people have hunted elephants with this particular caliber. Elephants, polar bears. Of course, they were half crazy, but they did it anyway. They have taken all big game with a .44 Magnum. I could stand here or someone else could tell you all of the safety features, and if you don't have a little common sense and if you don't accept responsibility, it doesn't make much difference. Remember, it's the person that carries the weapon or uses the weapon that can either cause problems or do it the right way.
Thanks, Rex. That's all for today. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will join us next week when News 6 will be presented by Immaculate Conception School in Bellevue, Ohio. Until then, have a good week.
Local production of today's edition of News 6 is made possible in part by a grant from the Toledo Edison Educational Services Program.